Here is a slow, uninterrupted, sleep-friendly documentary-style narration you can use directly for a long YouTube bedtime video. The tone is calm, observational, and grounded in real historical research, with no dramatization and no sharp emotional turns. As the first light of dawn spreads quietly across the city of Rome, the streets are still mostly empty. The stone roads, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps and wagon wheels, hold the coolness of the night. Above them rise tall apartment buildings known as insula, where most of the city's population lives. Inside these buildings, families begin to wake slowly. There are no alarm clocks, only habit, daylight, and the distant sounds of the city coming to life. In the small upper rooms of an insula, space is limited. Wooden furniture is simple and sparse. Beds are narrow, often shared, and made of straw or wool-filled mattresses. Windows are small, sometimes without glass, letting in fresh air and the faint noise of the street below. As people rise, they dress in plain tunics, adjusting belts and sandals that have been worn many times before. Water for washing is carried up from the street or collected from nearby fountains, since running water rarely reaches these upper floors.
Down below, shopkeepers begin opening their tabernae. These small storefronts line the streets, their wooden shutters folding down to form counters. Bakers are among the earliest to begin work. The smell of bread made from wheat or barley flour slowly spreads through the neighborhood. Bread is the foundation of the Roman diet, and bakeries are essential to daily life. Nearby, millstones powered by animals or water continue their steady turning, grinding grain into flour just as they have for generations. As the sun rises higher, the streets fill with movement. Vendors set out baskets of fruit, vegetables, olives, and dried fish. Donkeys and carts move carefully through the narrow roads, guided by drivers who know the city's rhythms well. Roman streets are busy but orderly in their own way, shaped by routine rather than rules. Citizens walk with purpose, heading toward work, markets, or public spaces. In wealthier homes, known as domus, the day begins differently. These houses are built around central courtyards called atriums, open to the sky. Morning light reflects softly off marble floors and painted walls. Household slaves quietly begin their duties, sweeping floors, preparing simple breakfasts, and organizing the day ahead. The head of the household may sit briefly in the atrium, receiving clients who arrive to offer respect and request favors, a daily ritual known as the salutatio. These interactions are calm, formal, and deeply embedded in Roman social structure. As morning turns toward midday, public spaces become the heart of the city. The forum fills with people from every social class. This open area is both a marketplace and a center of civic life. Merchants discuss prices, lawyers prepare speeches, and citizens gather to listen to news or debate local matters. Nearby temples stand quietly, their columns casting long shadows. Worship is woven into daily life, often brief and practical, involving small offerings or whispered prayers rather than dramatic ceremonies. Water flows constantly through the city via aqueducts, delivering fresh supplies to public fountains, baths, and wealthy homes. The sound of water is a steady presence, cooling the air and shaping the pace of the day. For many Romans, a visit to the public baths will come later in the afternoon, but already workers maintain the complex systems that keep them functioning. At midday, the pace slows. The heat increases, and many businesses close their shutters for a short rest. People eat their main meal of the day, often consisting of bread, cheese, olives, fruit, and occasionally meat or fish. Meals are simple, eaten at home, in small groups, or sometimes purchased from street vendors. There is little hurry. Roman life follows the sun, and rest during the hottest hours is practical. In workshops across the city, artisans continue their work.
Potters shape clay on spinning wheels. Metalworkers hammer tools and household goods. Tailors mend garments and prepare new ones. These trades are often family-based, passed down through generations. The sounds of work are rhythmic and steady, blending into the background hum of the city rather than standing out.
As afternoon arrives, the public baths begin to fill. These vast complexes are among the most important social spaces in Rome. For a small fee, citizens can bathe, exercise, and relax. The experience follows a familiar sequence, moving from warm rooms to hot baths and finally to cool pools. Conversations are quiet and unhurried. News is exchanged, friendships maintained, and the stress of the day gradually dissolves into warm steam and water. Children play nearby, their games simple and imaginative. They run through courtyards and streets, watched casually by neighbors. Education varies greatly depending on social class, but learning often begins at home through observation and repetition. Childhood in Rome is shaped less by formal instruction and more by participation in daily life. As evening approaches, the city changes again. The light softens, and long shadows stretch across buildings and roads. Vendors pack away their goods. Families return home. Meals in the evening are lighter, sometimes consisting of leftovers from earlier or small dishes prepared quickly. In wealthier homes, dinner can be a longer affair, with guests reclining on couches and eating multiple courses. But even these gatherings are calmer than popular imagination suggests. Oil lamps are lit as darkness settles in. Their warm glow flickers against walls and doorways. Streets grow quieter, though never completely silent. Night watchmen begin their rounds, keeping an eye out for fires, which are one of the greatest dangers in a densely built city. Their presence is reassuring, part of the unseen system that allows Rome to sleep. Inside homes, people prepare for rest. Conversations fade. Lamps are extinguished to save oil. The city does not have the constant noise of modern life. Without engines or electricity, night brings a natural stillness. From upper windows, the distant sound of footsteps or flowing water drifts gently through the air. As Rome settles into sleep, the routines of the day quietly conclude. Tomorrow will follow much the same pattern, shaped by sunlight, habit, and centuries of tradition. In this steady rhythm, ordinary people live their lives, unaware that their daily routines will one day become history, remembered not for drama or spectacle, but for the calm persistence of human life continuing, one day at a time. As the city rests in the deep of night, Rome does not completely stop. It simply becomes quieter, slower, and more inward. The narrow streets, now dimly lit by scattered oil lamps, hold the warmth of the day a little longer. Stone walls release heat slowly, and the air feels still. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barks once, then settles again into silence. Most people sleep early, not by choice, but by necessity. Without artificial light, darkness naturally ends the day. Inside the insulae, families lie close together, wrapped in simple blankets. The sounds of breathing, shifting straw mattresses, and the occasional creak of wooden beams blend into the night. Above them, the open sky stretches wide, unchanged by human routine. Night watchmen move carefully through the streets. They carry lanterns and simple tools, watching for signs of fire, which remains the greatest danger to the city. Fires start easily in crowded neighborhoods where wood, cloth, and oil are everywhere. Their steps are slow and deliberate. They are not rushing. They are listening, observing, trusting familiarity more than force. Water continues to flow even at night.
Fountains never stop running, fed by aqueducts that stretch for miles beyond the city. The sound of water echoes softly through empty streets, a constant reminder of the engineering that sustains Rome. For many citizens, this sound is as familiar as breathing. It is the quiet heartbeat of the city. In wealthier homes, servants may still be awake, tidying dining rooms after evening meals. Clay dishes are washed, food is stored, floors are swept one last time. The work is repetitive, unremarkable, and done without conversation. These tasks will be repeated again tomorrow, just as they were yesterday. Some Romans wake briefly during the night. Without precise timekeeping, sleep is not always continuous. A person may wake, adjust a blanket, listen to the night, and drift back into rest. Dreams come and go. The city does not demand attention. It allows sleep to return naturally. As the night deepens, even the watchmen slow their pace. Fires become less likely as lamps are extinguished. The risk passes gradually. The city seems to breathe more evenly now. Rome, vast and crowded by day, becomes almost gentle in the dark. Slowly, without announcement, the darkest hours pass. The sky begins to shift again, almost imperceptibly. A faint light touches the edges of rooftops. Birds stir. Somewhere, a baker wakes before others, beginning the same routine as countless mornings before. The cycle prepares to repeat itself. Rome does not change quickly. Days blend into one another. Years pass unnoticed by those living them. The city grows, adapts, and endures through repetition rather than transformation. Ordinary people wake, work, eat, rest, and sleep again. They are not aware that centuries later, their quiet routines will be studied, imagined, and gently remembered. And so, as another day approaches, Rome continues, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily, patiently, and without pause, carried forward by the calm persistence of everyday life. As the days pass, Rome continues its steady rhythm, guided not by clocks, but by the gradual turning of the year. The city changes slowly with the seasons, so slowly that many who live within it barely notice. Yet the light, the air, and the sounds all shift, marking time in subtle ways. In spring, the city feels lighter. Mornings arrive a little earlier, and the air carries the scent of damp earth and new growth. Outside the city walls, fields begin to show green once more. Farmers prepare their land, using tools that have changed little over generations. Inside the city, markets grow more colorful. Fresh vegetables appear more often, and fruit becomes easier to find. The pace of life does not quicken, but it feels less heavy. Public spaces fill more comfortably as the weather softens. People linger a little longer at fountains and in shaded courtyards. Children play more freely outdoors, their voices echoing softly against stone walls. The city breathes more easily, as if relieved by the end of winter's quiet restraint. As spring gives way to summer, the heat settles in. Days become longer, and the sun rises early over the rooftops. Work begins earlier as well to avoid the strongest heat of the afternoon. By midday, the streets empty more quickly. Shutters close, and activity moves indoors or into shaded areas. Rest becomes part of survival, not indulgence. Water becomes even more important. Fountains serve as gathering points, and the public baths grow busier. The cool rooms and flowing water offer relief from the sun. Conversations remain slow, voices low. There is no urgency. Summer teaches patience.
In the height of summer, evenings are long and warm.
Families sit outside their homes or in courtyards, sharing simple food and quiet conversation. Oil lamps are lit later as daylight stretches on. The city does not rush into night, it drifts. As the year turns toward autumn, the air cools gradually. The light softens again. Harvests arrive from the countryside, filling markets with grain, olives, and grapes. Wine production begins, a familiar process repeated each year. Storage jars are sealed. Food is prepared with winter in mind. Autumn is a season of preparation. Repairs are made to roofs and walls. Clothing is mended. Wood is gathered. Life remains calm, but attention turns toward endurance rather than comfort. The city knows what is coming, even if no one speaks of it directly. Winter arrives quietly. Cold mornings return. Days shorten. The city becomes more inward once again. People spend more time indoors, sharing warmth and space. Fires are carefully maintained. Food is simpler, more repetitive. The public baths remain open, offering warmth and routine. Winter nights are long. Sleep comes earlier. Streets empty quickly after dark. The city grows still, but not lifeless. Beneath the quiet, life continues at a slower pace, conserving energy until the light returns. Year after year, this cycle repeats. Most Romans do not measure their lives by single events, but by these gradual changes. Seasons pass, children grow, elders age, buildings wear down and are repaired. Nothing ends suddenly, nothing begins all at once. Rome endures through routine, through repetition, through the quiet understanding that life continues best when it moves steadily, without strain. And as the seasons turn once more, the city remains, unchanged in its essence, resting within the slow passage of time, waiting patiently for another dawn. Within the steady rhythm of seasons and days, individual lives unfold quietly. A Roman life is not marked by sudden change, but by gradual movement from one stage to the next, shaped by routine, family, and place. Childhood begins close to home. In the early years, children spend most of their time within courtyards, narrow streets, and shared living spaces. They learn by watching. They learn how bread is made, how water is carried, how floors are swept. Their world is small but complete. Toys are simple, small carved figures, balls made of cloth, bits of wood shaped by hand. Play blends easily into daily life. As children grow, responsibilities increase slowly. Boys and girls alike help with household tasks. They carry messages, fetch water, mind younger siblings. For some families, education comes through a teacher or small school where children learn letters, numbers, and memorization. For many others, learning remains practical, passed from parent to child without formal structure. Adolescence arrives without ceremony. Clothing changes slightly, expectations grow heavier. Young men begin preparing for trades, military service, or administrative roles, depending on family status. Young women learn household management, textile work, and the skills needed to run a home. These transitions happen quietly, without public recognition. Marriage often follows early. It is less a romantic event than a social arrangement intended to create stability and continuity. Families merge routines, not emotions. Life expands to include new responsibilities, new spaces, and new habits. Adulthood is defined by work. Days settle into repetition. A person becomes known for what they do: baker, mason, clerk, merchant, servant. Identity is practical. Success is measured by consistency rather than ambition. People rise early, work steadily, rest when they can, and return home each evening. Parenthood becomes another layer of routine. Children arrive, not always expected, not always surviving. Loss is present, but not openly discussed. Life continues around it. Care is given quietly. Grief is absorbed into daily tasks. As years pass, bodies change, movements slow, strength fades gradually. Older adults shift from labor to guidance. They sit more, they speak less. Their presence becomes familiar rather than active. Wisdom is not formalized, but observed through habit and memory. Old age is not clearly defined. There is no retirement. Work simply becomes lighter, then stops. People remain within their families as long as possible. Death is approached as a natural conclusion, not an interruption. When a life ends, rituals are simple. The body is prepared, family gathers. The city does not stop. Another person takes up the space left behind. Another routine continues. And so a single Roman life passes, not loudly, not memorably, but completely, woven into the larger fabric of the city. Thousands of such lives unfold at the same time, overlapping, supporting, replacing one another. Rome is not built from monuments alone, but from these quiet, ordinary existences repeating themselves across generations. And as one life fades, another begins, carried forward by the same streets, the same walls, and the same slow rhythm that never truly ends. Night settles fully over Rome. The city's shape remains the same, but its energy softens. Streets empty, shutters are closed, and only the faint glow of oil lamps marks where people still move. In this calm, the smallest sounds become noticeable. The gentle ripple of water and fountains, the soft shift of a cart left in a quiet corner, the distant creak of a wooden shutter moving in the wind. The air is cool now, carrying scents from the fields outside the city walls, mixed with faint smoke from hearth fires still burning. Evenings in winter are sharper, carrying the smell of damp stone and dry wood. In summer, the air is warmer, thick with dust and the faint fragrance of ripening olives. These details persist, unnoticed by most, yet they define the experience of the city at night. From upper floors of the insulae, one can hear neighbors breathing and the quiet movement of the household. A child shifts in a straw mattress. A cat wanders over tiled floors. Someone closes a door slowly, carefully, so as not to disturb others. These tiny rhythms of daily life continue even after sleep has claimed the majority of the city. The fountains are never silent. Water flows endlessly from the aqueducts into public basins. Its sound is constant, but soft, almost hypnotic. It marks the passage of time more reliably than any clock, a slow, unchanging pulse beneath the hum of the city. In the open atriums of wealthier homes, small streams of water trickle over carved basins, reflecting lamplight in gentle ripples. Wind moves through narrow streets and across open courtyards. It brushes against roof tiles, rattles loose shutters, rustles leaves in hidden gardens. Sometimes it carries the faint scent of faraway fields or the river. The movement is quiet, never sudden, always predictable, like the breath of the city itself.
Occasionally, someone must walk the streets. Night watchmen move deliberately, their lanterns swaying, their footsteps soft but measured. They pass fountains, alleys, and marketplaces now emptied of goods, and their presence is a steady reassurance. Fires are the only danger, But these watchmen move slowly, checking for embers, for warmth, for life. Their rhythm is calm, habitual, and unobtrusive. From the distant hills, the city walls are silent, yet they stand as reminders of order. They catch the first hints of moonlight, then sunlight, long before the streets themselves awaken. Within them, countless ordinary lives unfold in a quiet sequence, waking, working, eating, resting, and sleeping again. Night teaches patience, a slow passage from activity to stillness, and in this stillness the city breathes evenly. Even small details, roof tiles shifting with the wind, a loose rope on a balcony, the soft rustle of laundry hung to dry, become part of the night's rhythm. There is no rush, there is no drama. Every movement has a purpose, but purpose itself is quiet, almost imperceptible. In bedrooms, in kitchens, in small workshops that remain open late, life continues in microcosm. A baker stirs a leftover batch of dough. A blacksmith tends a cooling forge. A lantern flickers above a clerk's desk. These small actions happen slowly, deliberately, part of the city's extended, gentle breath. As the hours pass, the sky gradually begins its shift. Stars move imperceptibly. Clouds drift over the moon. Light changes in subtle increments. The city itself seems to exhale, preparing for the eventual arrival of dawn. And though the streets are still quiet, there is motion everywhere. Water flowing, wind moving, roofs settling, life continuing without urgency. Rome at night is not a place of fear or tension. It is a space of measured endurance, of repetition, of rhythm. Ordinary lives are carried forward in this calm atmosphere, shaped by centuries of routine and habit. The city sleeps, but it also listens. It also moves, softly, steadily, and predictably. And as the final hours of darkness stretch longer, the first faint hints of light appear over distant rooftops. The city does not stir quickly. No one rushes. The day will begin again slowly, gently, in the same measured pace, and the cycle will continue, uninterrupted, through centuries of quiet, ordinary life.